So Godzilla vs. Kong has finally been released, and everyone has been able to see it. At least everyone's had a lot of time to see it. I have a lot of versus videos planned, but before that, I wanted to do a video talking about the top 5 favorite monsters, my top 5 favorite monsters in Godzilla vs. Kong. This is a completely opinion-based list. There weren't as many monsters as we thought there was going to be, or at least how many I thought were going to be in the movie. And some honorable mentions before I get into the top 5. The monsters that were seen in the movie that are not in my top 5. One was the Skullcrawler with the red head that gets destroyed by Mecha Godzilla. The baby Skullcrawlers that you don't see them, you see the eggs. I thought I would still mention it. The crab-like creature, the lizard-type creature that I think is a callback to one of the old Godzilla movies, or the Kong 2005 movie. Not exactly sure, but those were 2 little monsters seen. And then the ugly birds from Kong Skull Island, you see them flying through the air. Those are some honorable mentions before we get into this list. But at number 5 is the Hellhawk. This is a creature that was seen in the main cave, Hollow Earth, where Kong's throne is. You saw many of these monsters, but this is at number 5. I thought that this monster, while not being too impressive, not too big, and didn't do anything too crazy, other than just taking out some soldiers, these Hellhawks were definitely cool. And they were definitely creepy. I mean, just looking at these close-up image, it's kind of like an owl, at least in the face. I thought this monster was cool and creepy. Obviously, it wasn't too much and didn't do too much crazy stuff in the movie, but it is number 5 on my list. At number 4 is the Warbat. There were 2 Warbats seen in this movie, and I thought Warbat, even for the trailer, Warbat looked really cool. But in the movie, Warbat looked absolutely awesome. I loved the design of Warbat, and I love the fight between Kong and this creature. I thought that the Warbat's design was really cool. I loved the attack strategy. I love how Warbat attacked with a tail and then wrapped the wing over the top of Kong. It was very interesting, and it was an interesting strategy as far as how Warbat attacks. And I don't know quite yet if the Warbat was trying to suffocate Kong there, or just make it to where Kong couldn't call out for help, or just try to make it to where no one could hear Kong and then go in for a bite. Not exactly sure, but nonetheless, the design was awesome, the growl was awesome, and the attack was awesome, and that's why it's number 4. At number 3 is Godzilla. Obviously, Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla's gonna have to be up there, and Godzilla is at number 3, and you'll understand after you hear the next 2 why Godzilla's at 3, but Godzilla was definitely awesome in this movie. Just coming off of Godzilla's movie, Godzilla King of Monsters, Godzilla comes into this movie, not too different, but there are some new abilities and new things we see from Godzilla. Being able to drill into the Hollow Earth is one thing. Just amazing, that scene. Godzilla has a lot of amazing scenes, but just seeing that power unleashed with the atomic breath, showing the atomic breath to be much more powerful than we've ever seen before. Drilling through the Hollow Earth was awesome. Seeing him utilize his tail more, especially in the fight against Kong, was very interesting. Seeing him whip it on the ground even before the fight was an interesting change, and I hadn't exactly used his tail in that fashion, especially not in the intimidation display before that. At least you can let me know down below if I missed that before, but I don't think he's used that before. And then in the fights versus Kong, Godzilla's awesome. He has some cool scenes destroying the Apex facilities, and Godzilla definitely has some cool scenes against Kong in that fight. But Godzilla is at number 3 on this list. At number 2 is Mecha Godzilla. Mecha Godzilla is a monster that was teased very lightly in the trailer. You barely saw his head, and I had some big anticipation for this monster, and I think it definitely delivered. When Mecha Godzilla, just seeing his first scene with the Skullcrawler, splitting the Skullcrawler in half was an awesome scene. The initial growl from Mecha Godzilla was so cool, and I love that growl. I'm sorry I won't be able to display it here because I'm still worried about getting strike down for showing the footage, but Mecha Godzilla was so cool just in that middle scene. And then when Mecha Godzilla comes out of the ground to fight Godzilla in that scene, it is just beyond awesome. Mecha Godzilla is so powerful, using the thrusters to jump forward and just throw Godzilla around like he's nothing, using the atomic breath to overpower Godzilla's atomic breath, the tail, the deadly tail, the rockets, the kind of charged up hands to do the powerful punches was so cool as well. And seeing him fight and use the atomic breath, and he was just so cool, and I love Mecha Godzilla. I really wish we could have seen more, and that's why Mecha Godzilla is definitely at number 2. And at number 1 is no surprise, because you know what's left, it's Kong. This is a Godzilla vs. Kong movie, but Kong, just from the beginning of this movie, is established as such a cool character. I already liked Kong so much in other incarnations, but then already in Kong Skull Island, Kong is such a likable character already in that movie. But this movie, they just go even further. I think Kong, from the beginning, you see him sleeping, they have him connected with the humans a lot, and he seems like he's the main character of the movie, but you really, at least I found myself in the middle of the fight between Godzilla and Kong. I really didn't pick a side, necessarily. I was really in the middle. And so going into this movie, I definitely sided with Kong. Emotionally, and just the story-wise, the way he's able to do the sign language with the little girl. And Kong is such a great character in the story you follow with him in Hollow Earth, finding his throne, finding the axe, and overall, not just how Kong isn't my top favorite monster in this movie just because of the emotional aspect, but because of how awesome he is. The fights Kong's in, he's just such an awesome character. And his scenes are so epic, him with his axe, throwing it in the ground, and even though he loses to Godzilla, he's still just an awesome kaiju. And you see him popping his shoulder back in place, you see him getting stepped on by Godzilla, getting his shoulder dislocated, but he still growls, he doesn't back down, and he only stops fighting because he's literally passed out dying. Then he pops his shoulder back in place, goes to fight Mecha Godzilla, rips his head off, rips Warbat's head off as well. And just those scenes are just too awesome. And Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, all these other monsters had cool moments, but Kong, in my opinion, is such an amazing character. I found myself connecting with him so much. I found him to have some of the most awesome scenes. And in this movie, I just found him to be my top favorite monster because of all those aspects. And he is definitely my top monster out of this list of 5 for my favorite monsters in Godzilla vs. Kong. But make sure you let me know down below who your top 5 monsters are in Godzilla vs. Kong. What's your list? Make sure you let me know, and I will be getting to a lot of versus videos soon. I wanted to wait a little bit to get to this video even, and especially the versus videos, but I have so many planned that are going to be coming out. I have so many planned, and I'm so excited to get to them, so I will definitely be getting those out soon. Plenty of matchups coming up. Make sure you let me know down below what your list is and what versus videos you'd like to see. Make sure you let me know down below, and thanks for watching.